Throughout history, there has been conflict between states, nations, and empires. Some more than others have led to great suffering due to large amounts of casualties and the brutality of these wars. In this list, I will have placed each war in its position due to casualty count, brutality, and severity of the war. Today I present to you the top 10 most fatal wars. Beginning at number 10, we have the Napoleonic Wars, which would begin as a continued stem of the unresolved French Revolution. The beginning of this war is contested between many historians, some saying that it is directly connected to the French Revolution, making it hard to find the beginning date. Napoleon's superior tactics and fighting style against the rest of Europe led to high casualty counts, totaling about 5 million. However, Napoleon would end up losing the war twice. Following number 10, at number 9 is the 30 Years' War. The period preceding the war was a period dominated by the rule of one family named the Habsburgs. The Habsburgs were married into almost all of Europe's royal families. European nations, mostly France, were fed up with the way the Habsburgs had wedged themselves into having great power, so they did what any reasonable nation would do. They started a war. Even though this war initially began as a fight between Protestants and Catholics, it evolved into a war based on political balance. This war would bring with it 5 million to 6 million deaths and would redraw the European landscape in terms of politics and religion during this period. Looking at number 8, we have the Reconquista. The Reconquista was a successful attempt by the Spanish to kick out the Islamic presence that had been around since the Umayyad Caliphate. They would kick out the Muslims in 1492, and not long after, the New World would be discovered. This conflict led to a total loss of about 7 million people. Here at number 7, we have the Russian Civil War and foreign intervention. Preceding this war was a political battle between the parties of the broken Russian government. The Bolshevik Party would create the Red Army to push for a communist-run Russia. The White Army, or the White Movement, would fight back against the communist threat. Outside forces such as the United States would give aid to the White Army. The Red Army would end up being successful through a total loss in the war of about 8 million people, including civilians. Similar in reason to the previous war on this list, the next war was fought to stop communism from becoming the ruling branch of government in China. The war was fought between the CCP and the Kuomintang. The CCP would prove victorious in the war, defeating the nationalists. The nationalists would then retreat and would end up governing Taiwan, calling it China as well. Casualties in this war totaled at around 8 million. At number 5, we have the European conquests of the Americas. Only a few years after the discovery of the New World, empires such as Spain and Portugal would begin to make their way to the new continent with intent of conquering to gain resources, military recognition, and to spread Christianity. Later on, more empires would join, such as the English, French, and Dutch. With the superior technology the Europeans had, they trampled over the natives in the Americas, leading to enormous death tolls ranging from 8 million to 100 million, depending on what it is you call a casualty of war, as many natives died due to diseases introduced by the Europeans. Standing at number 4 are the Mongol conquests. The Mongol conquests took hold during the 1200s, in which the Mongols used their pastoralist ways to conquer most of Eurasia, creating the largest empire ever seen on the face of the earth. Since Mongols rode in hordes of horses, they were able to successfully conquer Eurasia, leading to a death toll previously estimated around 40 million, but now believed to be at about 11 million. Their massive growth also led to the Mongols to facilitate the transfer of the Black Death to Europe through the trading of goods such as gunpowder and through their conquests. Reaching the top 3, I now introduce number 3, World War I. World War I was supposed to be the war to end all wars, due to many of the casualties being caused in inhumane ways. This war spanned the globe and would bring about 40 million deaths along with it. The brutality of World War I finally ended the notion that war was glorious, and instead shifted people to a mindset that was anti-war. With various inhumane weapons such as gas, World War I is considered to be one of the most inhumane wars in history. As we know, this wouldn't be the last, as it is the first. This next war isn't widely known as one of the worst wars in human history, but it has earned its place at number 2. This war being the Taiping Rebellion. The war began as a means to topple the current dynasty in China, which was the Qing dynasty. They deemed the Qing as weak and unworthy to rule, as they had allowed Western countries to establish spheres of influence in China. The Taiping were ruthless in their attempt to take control of China, which led to 30 million dead, but most of these casualties were Manchu civilians targeted by the Taiping. The Taiping Rebellion would end as a failed coup, but as a successful atrocity. The most fatal and brutal of them all is World War II. It is hard to think that the largest and most fatal war in human history was only fought 70 years ago. World War II amounts to a massive casualty count that estimated to be from 70 million to about 85 million. In World War II, many casualties came from civilians, some even from the Holocaust. which was a systematic genocide orchestrated by the Germans. This war became so intense that the deadliest weapon to grace the hands of our species was created to end the war. This weapon was known as the nuclear bomb, which would end up shaping the modern world.